Welcome back. Many people are still in shock about the sudden death of Twitch.
Yeah, that's right. He rose to fame with his impressive moves on the show So You Think You Can Dance. He later then became the DJ on the Ellen Show, where he got everybody dancing as they got introduced. But unfortunately, he died by suicide just 1 week ago.
Yeah, so many people have found this just so hard to believe. In 2020, just under 46,000 people died by suicide in the U.S. 12.2 million people seriously thought about suicide. 3.2 million made a plan, and 1.2 million attempted suicide.
Wow, that's just crazy, crazy numbers. So today, Dr. Karin Ryan with Nystrom and Associates, she's going to join us to talk about the passing of Twitch and kind of what it means, especially during the holiday season. Now, this obviously is a very, very important message.
It is, and we've talked a lot about the holiday cheer and joy and how that can be hard, but it can also be a really hard time for people, and this just brings up the importance of talking about suicide.
And I feel like so many people watched Twitch and saw the joy that they thought he had on TV, saw an interview he had with his wife talking about maybe wanting to expand their family, and they thought, how could this be?
Yeah, and it highlights that sometimes we can see some of the external factors, we can see somebody struggling, and other times it's really hidden, and it's a personal, really private thing that the person's going through.
Well, that's the thing. I think so many, I think we all sort of been touched by suicide, I think, at our point in our lives. And a lot of those times, they always seem outwardly okay. You know, in Twitch's situation, it seems like he was a very, happy person. So, like, what are some of the things that we should be looking for, maybe beyond the smiles and the graces?
Yeah, we know that some of the risk factors are depression, bipolar, kind of chronic anxiety, chronic pain, substance use, loss of a job or a big change, or any legal concerns. So we know some of those are those external factors to watch for. And then there's sometimes the signs of people kind of making some comments of, oh, I'm a burden, or I don't know if it's worth it, or do I even want to be here anymore? So those are some of the verbal things that people might share with us, or kind of starting to isolate and withdraw if we kind of see a shift in that behavior. And so again, sometimes it's external and sometimes it's a really internal thing that people aren't sharing.
So start thinking about maybe listening towards people's value of themselves. If they start expressing like they don't, their life isn't maybe worth as much, or they don't feel as important. That's a pretty big
or they feel
clue.
like a burden, exactly, or they like that self-hatred and really self-loathing, or feeling like they're not worth anything, and hopelessness. That's the key piece of being suicidal, is feeling like there's no hope, it's never going to get better, this is never going to end.
Right.
What are some preventative measures when people come to see you guys?
Yeah, I think it's so important to realize that what you can do in therapy is really openly talk about suicidal thoughts. Like, as we highlighted, so many people, 1 in 4 to 1 in 5, have experienced suicidal thoughts in their lives. So it's key knowing you're not alone. You are not alone of these. And sometimes they're more fleeting, and sometimes they get a little more stuck. And so the key thing is knowing when you go into therapy, you're going to be with a therapist who understands it, who's going to have a conversation with you. We know how to assess it. So we know how to assess for, like, are they just thoughts? Just thoughts? Are they, have we started to develop a plan? How long have you been having these? And really work with you, sit with you side by side, and figure out what can we do to help you feel better? How can we alleviate the pain? Because sometimes it feels like we are, like, people are thinking about suicide because they want the pain to end. Right. And it's really helping them in therapy to see that there's hope that we can alleviate some of this pain and find healing without ending your life.
Yeah, how important, and I'm going to guess that community, just not even just with your family and friends, but just like maybe keeping up with the community of things that you have your interests outside of that. That's got to be important as well.
It is, Ben, that sense of belonging, that sense of having a community. We know that faith is a protective factor. We know that having people that we're connected with, people that we want to be alive for, or a pet we want to be alive for, those are all reasons for living. And so again, in therapy, that's something you can honestly talk about. Or what are my reasons for living? What are my reasons for wanting to end my life or dying? And then it really helps kind of highlight, oh, there are these reasons, and how can we build this up and decrease these?
For people who are watching and they say, well, how is this going to help me? These people don't know me. They don't know my life and my problems.
Yeah, and I think there's actually a benefit in them not being in your family, because you can go and openly and honestly talk about it and say, I'm feeling this way, and you don't have to worry about, is this person going to be offended? Are they going to feel sad? Are they going to be always worried about me? Are they going to think it's about them? So there's power in it being a therapist. And I think the key is, like, once you establish that rapport and that connection, I think people are surprised at how quickly therapy can feel comfortable. Right? At first, when you go in, I'm going to tell you, your heart's going to be beating, you're going to be nervous. And then once you start talking about it, and that therapist says, like, tell me, have you ever had suicidal thoughts? Have you ever thought about ending your life? What do they sound like? What do they feel like? and it's, oh my goodness, this person gets it. They're willing to talk with me about it. I don't have to hide it. And so
Right.
it's when we hide it that darkness kind of creeps in and we don't see any light.
Yeah, and part of that is we bring up this word of hope. You know, some people feel hopeless, and you have a great quote about hope and
Yeah.
just what it means when people come and talk to you about this stuff.
Yeah, when I'm working with clients, sometimes when they can't find that hope, I'm like, that's okay. I'm gonna hang on to that hope for you because I have hope that it will get better. And I promise them, I'm not gonna make you stay in this space. Like I'm not gonna settle for this level of pain for you either.
Yeah.
We are not gonna settle for this. Can we make it, let's get another week. Let's take it a month. And really that can make it seem manageable.
For people
Yeah.
who say they're listening and they think this could help them,
Yeah.
how do they make that first call? What do they say? What are the basics
Yeah.
of getting this started?
And you can say anything. I'm coming in because I'm having a hard time. I'm feeling really stressed. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm having suicidal thoughts. Again, that person who's on the intake is going to be like, okay, let's get you scheduled with somebody because we understand it. We get it. That's our field. And so
Who
I
do
love
they
that
ask-
question.
Who do they ask to talk to?
Yeah, so they can call, like for a Nystrom or whatever, you can call your insurance company, whatever therapist, you can just call their intake line and say, I'd like to make an appointment. Another resource is the suicide and prevention line, that 988 is available for anybody at any time. And again, these are people who understand, so you can call, again, anytime, any day, and there's gonna be people who are there to walk you through it, help you figure out what do I need to do to take care of myself, like
Yeah.
how do I stay safe? That's our goal.
So real quick, you talked about maybe some of these verbal signs. What's maybe one or two like nonverbals that you can look for if somebody's not really
Yeah.
expressing it verbally?
Yeah, you know, the social withdrawal. Sometimes you can see high anxiety, kind of a real restlessness. Sometimes there's rage, kind of emotion shifts. Another piece that you can kind of watch for, this is like verbal, but if the person starts to talk about like giving away items or wanting things to be done or not talking about the future, those are some signs as well.
That's telling.
Another key piece is firearms, I want to say. So if you've got a loved one who has a firearm,
Oh,
helping
great.
them lock that up because we're not going to take them away. They can always keep them. They can always be hunter, but just lock
Yeah.
them up.
Harder
That's a
to get
great
your hands
tip.
on.
Yep.
All right,
Thank you
as-
so much.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
My
as we
pleasure.
mentioned, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is always available to everyone. You can text or call the crisis line at 988.
Yep, and Dr. Ryan is at Nystrom and Associates. They provide care in the fields of psychiatry, psychology, family therapy, and more. Such an important message. We have more Twin Cities Live right after the break.